parties during the Depression, Americans found escape from their troubles in the fabulous movie musicals where beautiful people danced through a world where their only problem was wondering where their next wisecrack was coming from. So tonight, in our mini musical, we pay homage to these films and to America's favorite dancing couple who helped to tap all our tears away. Hit it, Kepi.
Junk food supper.
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 Junk food
Junk
supper.
food supper.
Junk food supper.
Junk food supper.
Junk food supper.
Junk food supper. Junk food supper.
All right, welcome to Junk Food Supper, episode 10, the podcast that's not junk food dinner, but it's pretty close. I'm one of your hosts, Sean Byron, joined, as always, by Perky Beantown Bowman, a.k.a. Parker Bowman, up there in the 559. How you doing, Bowman?
I'm doing good. Having a good week. I mean, it was pretty touch and go for a minute, but now it's good. Firmly good in the good week.
Touch and go because of all this warm weather that we're encountering. Is that right?
Well, it's been a little bit warm up here. There was one day I had to go out on assignment on Saturday for work, and it was like almost 100 that day. But outside of that, it's been kind of breezy. It was only like 80 today, which here in the Central Valley, that's like a cold day. So I'm not getting this weather. You are, apparently.
I think it's just a factor of the fact that summer's coming so late that I've forgotten what warmish weather is. So it's probably like 78 or something today. I'm sweating my ass off.
Yeah, you can get tricked like that. It is weird. Like usually by now there's been a string of, 105 degree days up here, and it hasn't been that way this year. So it's like very like surprising and weird. Like I don't think anybody knows how to react. Like I wrote a story when I went out to like the surf ranch a couple of weeks ago, which is like this surf ranch. It's exactly what it sounds like. I don't know why I would even explain it, but like I wrote like, oh, summer was in full swing at the surf ranch. It was a hot day. And like all these comments on Facebook were like, man, it wasn't even hot. It's not even summer. It was just a slightly above average spring day. You're a piece of shit and all this. And it's like, well, I mean, I thought it was hot, but I guess historically it wasn't, even though me and everybody else at the surf ranch were sweaty, verifiably sweaty. But yeah, so I think this lack of heat is making people upset.
If a Bowman is sweaty, to me, that's the indicator. It's like the groundhog coming out of its hole or whatever. Like as soon as Bowman's sweaty, summer is here. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the federally agreed upon guideline,
That is actually a really good guideline now. It used to be. I used to weigh more than I do now in terms of pounds, and I would get sweaty at the drop of a hat. Just all day long, sweaty. And now I've lost a certain amount of weight. And for the life of me, I can't even get sweaty. I go to the gym, no, not a single drop of sweat. Like, I don't know. My body was so used to being a fat guy for so long, a big fat guy. So I do think that's a good barometer now. If I'm sweating, you can definitely tell it's hot because I don't do that anymore.
All right, let's codify this into law. I'm not sure which congressman I need to notify, probably my local one, and I'll get on that, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I think we can, talk to our city councils, stuff like that.
So speaking of stuff, as we just were, and we will be following this transition, I got a tale to relay from this past week. I saw Asteroid City.
Is it good or is it bad?
Well, I don't even know, man. I'm very confused about this movie. I was really hyped for it. I generally enjoy Wes Anderson's movies. There's been a couple swings and misses for me, but for the most part, I really do like his stuff. And this one from a distance, like based on the trailer and stuff like that, seemed like it would be my number one all-time favorite movie. Like I love that 1950s stuff. I love desert town stuff. I spent most of my life watching Wile E. Coyote cartoons, and it looked like this basically took place inside of one. And then I saw it, and I had no idea what to think about it, about the events that take place in the movie, which were surprising to me. but I also have not stopped thinking about it. It's been, I don't know, 4 or 5 days or something. And I just keep thinking about it. So it had an impact. I think I'm probably going to go back and try to see it again. But were you planning on seeing this one?
Yeah, this one looks good. Usually his movies come out and they don't really look good. So I usually skip them. But this one does look interesting to me because of aliens and deserts and stuff. It looks pretty and it's got like a good cast and stuff. So if it comes, I think it's going wide this weekend. So if it comes here, I will probably see it.
I would say you probably have a good chance of maybe liking it more than his other movies because it's pretty different than the stuff that he's done up until this point. And I was surprised because I saw the trailer and I thought like, well, this looks like maybe it's going to be Wes Anderson kind of appealing to a more mainstream audience. But no, it's a very strange movie, but worth seeing. And as soon as I do revisit it, maybe I'll have more cogent thoughts on the quality of it. Because right now I'm kind of baffled, but in a good way, I guess.
Yeah, that's always good. I feel like those movies that you think a lot about, like those are always the ones that I end up liking like a year later. Like those, even if you think you don't like it, as long as you're thinking about it, that's a good sign.
Yeah, and it certainly stands out in terms of all the movies that I've seen as being very unique. So that's something. It also prompted me to go on a ticket buying spree afterwards. I went online and pretty much lined up my entire summer viewing because stuff is starting to sell out. I was surprised. I hit up the Oppenheimer tickets first, and like all the IMAX screenings on the first weekend are pretty much sold out. I was able to squeeze in just barely in the back for one of the shows, but I got Oppenheimer and Barbie, I got Mission Impossible, and I got Indiana Jones. So I think that'll be my summer lineup. I can't imagine that there's too much else that I'm going to go out for.
I kind of forget what all's left in the summer. I think there's like a horror movie. I might go see that Insidious movie. Maybe I like the first one.
Yeah,
did like 3 bad sequels, but I don't know. I like Patrick Wilson, but outside of Barbie, I'm not interested in any of those.
You're getting pretty quiet, Bowman.
Oh,
choke up on that microphone.
Let me turn myself up here. I was fiddling with the buttons a little bit. I thought my waves were a little high, so I turned them down, which is probably the wrong move. But yeah, I'm not interested. I want to see Barbie, but those other 3 movies you mentioned, I'm not interested in necessarily.
Really? Not even Oppenheimer?
I don't know. Like, I hate Christopher Nolan. Like, I just hate him so much. All his movies are so bad and boring, but maybe if he has the framework of like a true story, he won't go off in all his stupid like jerk off motion tangents like he always does, where like characters sit around and talk about how love is the only thing that can time travel and all this stupid shit.
Yeah, it does seem like some of his more like Spielbergian tendencies might be kind of tamed by the source material here. Like from what I've seen on the trailers, it looks like it's going to be pretty grim and just kind of like a grim dissection of this dude's, horrendous choice to create an atomic bomb.
Yeah, that's a real rookie mistake, creating the atomic bomb.
Exactly.
He's really got egg on his face.
What a fool. Anyhow, what about your week? Buy any tickets? See any indie films or anything like this?
I saw one independent film at the theater.
Ooh.
The Flash. The new.
Oh, I see.
The new independent Flash film. I got caught up in the hype. Like I wasn't interested in it. I don't like many of those DC movies, but people were like, "Oh my God, there's so much crazy shit in this movie. It's so weird. There's a lot of crazy, weird cameos." And some people were upset about them and some people were happy about them. So I was like, fuck it. I got to go see this fucking thing. So I went, and also Jackson told me to go. Jackson said that I would like it. So I believed him. I trusted him. And he was right for the most part. I think it's a kind of a fun movie. It's better than I was expecting. It's not like great. I wouldn't recommend it to people because it's like kind of stupid, but It's fun. I would say it's fun.
I thought this was a lot of fun.
Exactly. I do. Also, like, I think a lot of the barometer of whether or not people will like this movie is like how much they care about Michael Keaton as Batman. Because like the whole second act is just like people looking into the camera and going, "Holy shit! Do you remember when he said let's get nuts? Holy shit! Do you remember Batman?" So like, if you're into Batman, Michael Keaton, Tim Burton Batman, then this is probably the movie for you.
I mean, I think I would have only have been excited for a retro Batman had they dug Adam West out of his tomb and propped him up on camera.
That, I don't mean to spoil this movie that you'll never see, but that does actually happen in this movie.
Do they do a CGI Adam West or some bullshit like this?
They do a CGI Adam West and he appears in the film.
And you're telling me that this movie is fun?
Well, not all the parts are fun. I'm not a big Michael Keaton, Tim Burton Batman fan. So like that entire second act, I was just like, fuck, like fast forward this. Let's get through this. And then also, yeah, there's a lot of cameos like that are like, it's interesting that they happen. Like it's interesting that we live in a time where Adam West is in a big budget Hollywood movie in 2023, but it is a little ghoulish. And that's one of the least ghoulishy ones. Like there are some other cameos that are very ghoulish.
Really?
I don't want to spoil people, but
man.
Some other.
I thought this was exclusively Disney's domain. You know, reviving dead actors or using CGI to de-age people or de-age their voices or whatever. You're telling me that even Warner Brothers is getting in on this game now?
Yeah. They didn't even warn a brother that it was going to happen.
Fuck, dude. It's game over. They're going to have Fred Astaire tap dancing through all the Marvel films and all the DCU films.
Hopefully.
God
I would like
damn.
to see that. But yeah, it is a spectacle. So I'm glad I saw it. It is wild to see. But I think the first act of the movie is like genuinely very good and fun. And then it kind of gets crazy and off the rails, but I don't know, it's a sight to behold, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen any of these DCU movies except for Wonder Woman, which I didn't really even like that much. So I'm probably not going to start with this one. Did you watch all of the Flash TV show? Because that's another thing, right? Is that didn't they already make this story? That's what I've heard, is that this is a retelling of an episode of the show for which there's like over 100 episodes or something already.
Yeah, well, kind of. I mean, they're both like the fact that Flash goes back in time and like creates alternate timelines and stuff like that's part of that was in the comics first. So they're both just pulling from the same thing. But yeah, it is my understanding that the WB show did this plot line better than this $500 million movie did, which is kind of wild. But yeah, they both did essentially the same thing. But I don't watch any of those WB shows, so I don't really know for sure.
You just watch the Archie shows.
I do need to watch more of those Archie shows. I've seen the first couple episodes of Riverdale. I need to get into that. Seems up my alley.
All right. Well, other than the independent film The Flash, which I'm guessing you're calling it an independent film, meaning that you were the independent person in the audience of one at your screening, or
surprisingly not. The movie did bomb pretty hard, but when I went to go see it, I saw it Sunday night, and there was kind of a lot of people in there.
Huh. All right. Other than that, though, anything thrilling?
Nothing too thrilling. I do want to just shout out little Kepi. Just want to say what's up, Kepi, if you're listening. We love you. Me and Kepi had to go to the hospital last night. He's got a heart murmur and he's got a lung infection. So I just want to say what's up to him, make him feel better by saying that to him, because I know he listens to the podcast. But it was a worrisome time. He's a very old dog, so he's been wheezing the last few days. So I was very worried for him. So it was a very traumatic night, but he's okay. He's got the heart murmur. He's got medicine. He's going to be all right.
Well, good to hear that it's, that the crisis has been averted. Yeah, that's scary times. Hopefully, he gets all the chicken noodle soup and etc. that he needs.
Oh yeah, yeah. I found out that like the doctor was like he's a little dehydrated, and I was like, holy shit, that makes so much sense because like he's got no teeth, and his flappy lips and gums just hang down, you know, like Ren from Ren and Stimpy.
Sure.
And when he goes to drink, he'll like lap up water for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, man, like I've always thought like, because I'm dumb, I guess, like, man, he's really thirsty. That's the thirstiest dog. He just loves water. But I think it's because his mouth, no, you know, now that it no longer has teeth and it just flaps open, I think that his tongue doesn't get the water actually into his throat hole. So I think he's dehydrated because of that. All right, that's actually
I'm too
that is
old
what it
for
is.
this.
He's very old. So now I feel stupid for just thinking that he like really enjoys water when I should be like hand feeding him water to make sure he's not dehydrated.
Yeah,
Which I'm going to be doing from now on since he's senile and old and elderly.
got to get that bottle out, right?
I do need to do that.
You could take the alternate approach. Just put these dogs in your backyard and feed them occasionally and hope that coyotes don't get them, you know?
Yeah, that's what all my neighbors do.
All right, well,
that is a good ending for Kepi at the hospital. But what about some bad endings?
oh, wow. Now that's a transition. You know, I tried earlier to come up with one where I was talking about stuff. You know, it was kind of a swing and a miss, but wow. From good ending to bad ending to great transition. I love it.
Well, thank you.
And what does it mean, this transition?
Well, it means that for our topic this week, we're going to be talking about bad endings. This is not tied into the Top Hat movie we'll be talking about later, but it is tied into a TV show that just wrapped up that had a bad ending. That's actually going to be my first pick on this list. We're each going to talk about 3 things that we feel like we have bad endings, whether they're like TV shows or movies or comics or whatever. And I already told you the impetus of why I wanted to do this. So me giving you my first one is already spoiled, but I won't spoil the actual show. I'll just say that the show Barry, Bill Hader's TV show, it just wrapped up its 4th and final season. It was a bad ending, which is a real shame because the first 3 seasons are perfect. Some of the best TV I've ever seen. And then season 4 just kind of shits the bed. And I was just very upset. So.
Do you have a sense of why that might have happened? I mean, absent of the plot details, did you have a feeling like there was a change in creative team, or did it feel like they had to rush this for some reason, or just random bad luck, or what?
Well, it's all the same creative team. Like I think like Bill Hader's pretty much everything. Like he writes everything, he directs like pretty much every episode. I think he helps in editing. Like it's like his thing. For the most part. I mean, he's got writers and stuff, but I think that at the end of season 3, they kind of wrote like what could have been like a pretty definitive end to the show. So I think that with this new season, they just kind of like backed themselves into a corner and kind of had to figure out a way out of it. Like, so they didn't really have anywhere to go, but they were stuck doing this 4th season kind of a thing. So it felt like that. And then also, it seemed like maybe they knew how they wanted to end the season, but they didn't know how they would get there. So when you have to like write backwards like that, it's very difficult. And so I think that both of those things happened to the show. Both of the worst things that can happen to a final season in terms of construction, both happened, I feel like.
I almost wonder if maybe it was a situation where they like didn't look too closely at the contract and forgot that they were, you know, on the hook for a 4th season, you know, and had these grand plans to wrap it up. And they're, you know, having their summer break. Oh shit, we got to go back to work in a few months.
It really feels like that. Cause I feel like if you would like, you could, season 3 ended like that feels like the end of the show. So it really is kind of shocking that they did this other stuff, but
Yeah, or maybe HBO, pre-Discovery merger just threw a bunch of money at them for one more season, and they were like, you know what, that's the price that I can't refuse.
Yeah, that could be too.
Well,
But,
I've never seen any Barry, so now I know that I don't need to.
Oh, no,
Thanks for saving me the hassle. I'll delete it from my watch list. It's
No.
been on there for years.
No. You can watch the first 3 seasons. They're a masterpiece. You're gonna love it. When you finally watch it, you're gonna love it. There's so many LA locations, so many
I
long
know.
telephone cords,
I
so much
know.
wallpaper.
They shot it at Squat Melt Central.
Yeah.
I was in those parking lots while they were shooting some of that. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's weird that I haven't watched it.
You're gonna like it. But
Well-
what's something that you feel like ended poorly?
Well, I've got one that is also available to stream on HBO. But before I go through my list, I did want to just say this was kind of a tricky exercise for me. I think maybe famously on this show, I don't put too much importance on narrative. I'm not really a scriptsman, and I kind of think plot is overrated in general. And so I think I'm like much less likely to be disappointed by the ending to something, whether it's a TV show or a movie, unless they like totally drop the ball. And I think there are some very famous examples that I'm, not going to pick because I think we all agree, and hopefully these are not on your list, but I guess we'll see. But, I think everybody generally agrees things like Lost or Game of Thrones or A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1, that these are classic examples of bad endings that even I can see somebody who is generally satisfied by most plots in movies, so long as they're told in a way that is either visually interesting or has some kind of style that appeals to me.
Well, we're on the same page here that you don't just mean the very end of Nightmare where like the blow up doll gets pulled in through the door. You mean like the whole last act, right? We're in agreement that the whole last act sucks in Nightmare.
I mean, it doesn't bother me as much as it should because I grew up with it and I think it's kind of fun and it's impossible for me to remove my nostalgia from it. But yeah, objectively, it's a silly Home Alone, routine that they go through that doesn't really make a lot of sense in the context of a horror movie.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. You hear that, Wes Craven? Fuck yeah.
Still a great movie, though.
Very good movie.
Anywho, I do have one that disappointed me in recent months, and this is a documentary that was on HBO Max about the infomercial host who you might remember named Miss Cleo. It was called Call Me Miss Cleo is the name of the documentary. And basically it was an investigation into like what was up with this, seemingly Jamaican woman who had this psychic hotline that was advertised pretty heavily throughout the 1990s on cable television. And, I saw it pop up on HBO Max, and I was, intrigued from the get-go because I have, a lot of memories of seeing these commercials when I was a kid, staying up late, watching TV. It was always on. And it opens up with a pretty fascinating dissection of like what the commercials were and how they came to be. And there was this company behind them, and she was just kind of this, hired actress effectively for the commercials. And, they start getting into the fact that she was not really Jamaican, and they're, interviewing these people that she went to school with. And they're like, oh yeah, I went to school with her. She didn't have a Jamaican accent back then. And they're building all these mysteries. And it seems like she's potentially screwing over some people that were involved in the psychic hotline. And there's millions of dollars at stake, and all these stakes are being built up. And then in the end of the documentary, they just kind of do this thing where they're like, they just throw it all away, and they're like, oh yeah, we don't really know what's up with her. Maybe the Jamaican accent was real, maybe it was fake, and who really cares about any of, like, it just completely dissolves, and they don't land it whatsoever. So I guess, for me, that's my first bad ending.
Yeah, a lot of these, like, I've got one of these Netflix type long form investigative documentaries on my list too. And it seems like a lot of these do this. Like there's also this one, this isn't the one that's on my list, but there's like that Netflix one. I think it's about like the Elisa Lam thing. You remember that thing in LA where like the girl like was staying at a hotel downtown and like she ended up in the water tower.
Oh yeah.
Like,
and there's a video of her in the elevator and all that stuff. Yeah,
real spooky stuff. Like there's a few episodes where like they kind of go into the mystery of it. And then like the last couple episodes are like about how, if I remember correctly, I might be conflating two different things, but I think it's in that documentary. Like the last couple episodes are about like a guy who investigated it on its own and then like got canceled by like the people watching because they thought he was like too like ghoulish for like trying to report on her death. And like then the whole thing is just about him and like how he hasn't been able to find a job and like how he was like shamed publicly. And it's like, well, what is this? Like this isn't anything. Like it seems like a lot of these big long form documentaries like just kind of run out of steam and are just like, we don't really have a thesis statement, but we knew you would click on this because of an algorithm. So
yeah,
what can you do?
It's also like one of those things where I feel like they start the project and they get to the end and they're like, well, this is not really releasable, but you know what? I spent 6 years of my life making this thing and I'm not going to just throw it away. So slap a poster on it and we'll see who clicks.
Yeah, there's actually, I think it's on Peacock. There's a documentary about Teddy Hart, the wrestler, which is also very much like this. Like the documentary filmmaker, like thinks that Teddy Hart killed a woman. So like he kind of starts investigating it, but then he's like, and ultimately Teddy Hart was famous. So I wanted to keep hanging out with him. So nothing really happened. It's no big deal.
Well, what is your number 2 bad ending?
Well, my number 2 then is going to be one of these documentary things. It's one that came out on Netflix a few years ago. It's got 3 episodes. It's called Don't Fuck with Cats, Hunting an Internet Killer. This is about, it's this internet phenomenon that happened a few years ago where like somebody posted a video of them putting a bunch of cats in like a bag and then throwing it into a river. And all these internet sleuths like poured over like each and every frame. And they were like, oh my God, that kind of rock is only in this part of Yugoslavia. And like, you know, this type of wood that's in the background is only, you know, can only be bought at this one store in this one town. We got him, like kind of shit, like real interesting sleuthing to find this guy who killed cats so that they could like punish him or whatever. And so it follows these people who are obsessed with doing this. And like, they're on these message boards and in these chat groups and in a Facebook group. And the closer they get to the guy, the more he releases stuff. And it's possible that because the guy who killed the cats was like so enamored with this attention that he was getting that he upped his game and killed people, I think. And I think that's the gist of it. It's been 3 or 4 years since I watched it. And so the people who were hunting him have to like deal with this idea that because they like got caught up in like a fun internet thing, that they accidentally got some people killed because like of their obsession with like true crime stuff. And then at the very, very end, one of them is like, in fact, you know, like us being involved in this story, getting people killed because we love true crime, we're not that different from the people watching this documentary right now. And it's like, no, you literally got 2 people killed. I'm just watching some shit on Netflix. Like, I'm not actively getting people killed. It's not the same fucking thing at all. And it's like just insulting. And it made me so mad when I first saw that. So that's kind of a bad ending. If you compare the people watching your movie with the people who inadvertently caused horrific murders through their actions, I think that's a bad ending, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds rough. I never saw that that documentary, but I do remember people talking about it at the time, and it seemed like something that, you know, had some interesting elements to it. Like I do like this kind of you know, dissection of like, why are people fascinated by true crime? Why is that such a thing currently? And, you know, online vigilantes, I think, continue to exist. And that is kind of a fascinating phenomenon that I would be curious about. But if it's, you know, if it's so heavy handed the way that they're delivering these messages, I could see that being kind of a bummer.
Yeah, it's the heavy-handedness, and then also, I guess it's not the same thing by any means. Like, I get that you want to be cute and be like, oh, what if you, like, we're the same because you're watching true crime right now. Like, but it's not the same. Like, these people antagonized and egged on a murderer, like, on purpose. Like, so it's like, I don't know. It's just insulting. It was probably an interesting documentary otherwise, though, but it just made me upset.
But also, if you truly believe that as the filmmaker, then you're saying I'm complicit as well by making this for an audience that I believe is doing something that's morally wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it's the filmmaker's fault, not the audience's fault.
Yeah, exactly.
These directors, they got to be punished.
Well, hopefully you don't think it's my fault if I pick a movie that you love. And I'm not sure how you feel about its ending. But I've always been down on the ending of Army of Darkness. And I'm talking about like kind of the climactic battle, at the castle with all the, the or the stop motion deadites and all that stuff. It just feels shoddily filmed. Things are kind of dark and you can't really tell what's happening in some of the wide shots. I don't like the look of the skeletons in that scene that much. And I don't know, just something about that sequence has never really worked for me. It doesn't have the sense of climactic action that you would want at that moment in the movie. It just feels always to me like a little bit of a letdown in a movie that, I think overall, as a conclusion to the trilogy, it is my least favorite. And I kind of wish that they went in a different direction overall with it, but especially that end has always kind of just felt really flat to me.
I like much of the ending. There are like little parts in it that I don't like. Like there's a part where like Sheila says the line, I might be bad, but I feel good. And that's like the worst line in a movie.
All of the cornball dialogue in the movie is pretty bad. Like, I know everybody likes Ash's catchphrases, but I think in Army of Darkness, they all feel pretty hokey. Like, not in a great way.
I think Ash is great in that movie. He's wonderful. No fault lies with Ash. He's perfect. But it could have been a little bit more horrific. Like, they really play up like the fantasy, like Jason and the Argonauts type stuff. Like, it would have been nice to have like a little bit more horror, but I like that. I like that ending. I like that whole movie.
I do like the fight in the pit at the beginning. It's probably my favorite part of the movie. It's the only part of the movie that honestly feels like an Evil Dead.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and like some of the windmill stuff feels very Evil Dead-y.
Yeah.
He gets to the windmill and he's getting chased by the shaky cam.
I suppose.
Well, I got a bad ending here.
Okay.
One of the worst of all time. No one could argue this. And it's the ending of Dexter, the television show. Although the ending of the books is really bad too. Although they're different, but equally bad.
Based on books? I never knew that.
It is based on a series of books. Yeah, they go their separate ways around like book 2. The show stopped being based on the books. Like they just kind of started doing their own thing after book 2, but based on books. I read all the books. Some of them are good. Some of them are very good, but most of them are not. But yeah, did you watch the show at all?
I never saw a single episode of Dexter, unless you're talking Dexter's Laboratory, of which I saw most.
This is a different Dexter about a serial killer. And it's great. The first 4 seasons are masterpieces, I would say. And then it kind of goes off the rails a little bit and it kind of gets mediocre. But then it ends with, I'm going to spoil it for you. It's an old show. So I apologize. I apologize for spoiling Dexter, a very old show that you should stop watching after season 4 anyway. Although I actually watched some of season like 7 because Julian Sands is in it. But at the end of Dexter, Dexter's adopted sister falls in love with him. and then Dexter gives his son away to a serial killer, and then he moves away from Miami to become a lumberjack. And
What the
that's
fuck?
how it ends. Exactly. I actually kind of like the lumberjack part, but the rest of it is very stupid. Just the
Just
most
covered
stupid
in
shit.
mud and moss.
That's the life of a lumberjack. Yeah.
Ba ba boom.
It's a very bad ending. Nobody liked it, which is why they had to do a revival of it like 2 years ago and give it like an actual new ending. But pretty bad.
Is Lithgow in multiple seasons of that show, or he had like a short run, or what's the deal with Lithgow on that show?
He's in season 4, the best season, one of the
Okay.
best seasons of anything ever.
I
He's
feel like
so good
I
in it.
would, yeah, I would watch the Lithgow stuff.
I think if you wanted to, you could probably just jump to season 4. I don't think you'd really need to watch all the seasons, but I mean, seasons 1 through 3 are like really, really super good. But if you just wanted to, if you were just going in as a Lithgow connoisseur, you could probably just jump in season 4 and be into it.
I do consider myself one.
He's great. He's so good in it.
Well, he's good, but this ending I'm going to talk about next is bad.
Okay.
And this is my third and final bad ending. And again, this was tough for me, and maybe I could have put more than 15 minutes into thinking about this, but I didn't, and this is the best that I could come up with. And it's one that I think probably a lot of people feel the same way as me. Maybe you won't. Let's see. I know it's a movie that you've seen before. I just don't love the ending of Kill Bill Volume 2. You know, you've got almost 2 full movies worth of complete ass kickery, you know, like scenes where people are pulling knives out of cereal boxes and people are getting, you know, shot point blank in the face, and there's snake bites and eyeballs, and, you know, things are getting really gnarly. And then you end it with this anti-climax that I know was the point and, you know, was intentional, but I think it was a bad intent. You know, I think if you want to pay tribute to Kung Fu movies, one of the greatest joys of a Kung Fu movie is the climax. They always build to a thrilling finale, and you're almost always guaranteed that it's going to be the longest fight in the movie, that it's going to have the best action in the movie, and, you know, the biggest stakes, and things are going to go crazy at the end. And then Tarantino decides, you know, to kind of deflate all the tension with this boring ass speech about Superman, and then the dumbest little, you know, 3-finger poke into the heart maneuver. And I'm continually bummed by it, because I love both of those movies, and even despite the ending, I still do love the second one. But man, how cool would it have been to have had, I don't know, like a epic shootout in his Mexican villa, you know, similar to
The Django's.
yeah, from the end of Django Unchained, or, you know, just like a cool fist fight, or anything other than a dumb conversation about Superman, and then you know, Bill just keeling over.
Well, I think this is crazy. That ending is wonderful.
Really?
Yeah, it's not about fighting. It's with your fists. It's about fighting with your emotions. Sean
Oh,
Byron.
tell that to an audience who wants thrills like me.
Well, like, I mean, is there any fight scene on Earth that could like be better than the Crazy 88's fight scene? Like, nothing. Like anything that Quentin Tarantino would have done in that like with Bill at the end would have been anticlimactic, though, right? Like, there's no way to top what came earlier in that movie, or the Oren Ishii, like that, like the snowy garden fight. Like, no way to be better than either of those 2 fights. So, like,
All right, you know
why
what? I
even
can
try?
accept that. So I would have even, you know, been thrilled to have seen then like a cool clip package. You know, let's get RZA to put together a music video of all the best fight moments from the past 2 movies. Something, anything. I don't know, like, or like a cool foot chase. Maybe David Carradine can learn parkour or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
They got jet skis down in Mexico, right? Break out the jet skis for the finale of Kill Bill Volume 2. Anything, you know?
Well, you're raising some good points. All movies are better with jet skis and parkour, so maybe I'm on your side now.
Yeah. What about parkour on jet skis?
That would be rad. There is parts of that ending I don't like though. Like there's like the part. Actually, I think it might be. Like the part at the end where like they're like her and the daughter are like safe together in the hotel room and they're like watching the show and it's like the mama bear loves the baby bear and like I think that's like a little too much, a little too saccharine at the end. And then also I think it's at the beginning actually, but like the part where the bride like breaks the fourth wall and like tells us what she's doing in the movie to catch us up because it's part 2. I hate that. I hate that she breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah. Well, he likes to do that though. You've always got somebody narrating at you, telling you how nitrate film works or something like this, you know?
True. Yeah. He's a joker, that guy.
Well,
those are the bad endings. What are your bad endings, junkies? Email us, jftpodcast@gmail.com, or more importantly, send us a voicemail by calling 347-746-JUNK. That's 347-746-5865. Let us know what endings you think suck. And speaking of voicemails, we got one this week. And here goes.
Please welcome me a sweet man. You're so sweet. You're so sweet. You're so sweet.
The real tragedy is the movie The Terminator. I guess it's very much about fate, and that's what they've been saying, I guess, with all the sequels. But, Excel ended as Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator, the first movie. After, trying a little bit with all of this, he could have easily just stopped and stood back and realized, maybe after the Tech Noir shooting, that, maybe this isn't all that's cracked up to be. Just because he's supposedly programmed to do something doesn't mean that he has to follow it. The movie probably could have had a happy ending where the Terminator moved out to Sonoma and, got a job. Well, didn't really get a job, but found a way to make a living by painting colorful rocks and wearing a big sun hat. Maybe adopts a cat, spends his time walking through maybe he works on a vineyard or works, to start his own vineyard even. I don't know. That's just a thought.
Well, thank you, Mia. I think that kind of does happen in some of the Terminator movies, like in that one that's like Back to the Future 2's on top of the first one, Genesis, I think. I think he like becomes a construction worker for a while, and then that newer one where like what's her face comes back, Sarah Connor comes back. I think he just lives life as a human in that one, I think, if I remember correctly. So I think you're onto something here. Right? Or you watch those movies and don't remember them. One of the two. But I think that's kind of happened a little bit.
Yeah, well, and in the pinball adaptation, he takes on a career of tucking little metal balls behind a little gate for you.
One of the best professions a man can have.
Exactly.
Well, thank you, Mia. And if you guys want to talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger's many jobs with us, remember to call 347-746-5865. But on that note, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about Top Hat. So stick around.
Oh, hell yeah. Let's
Oh, my pretty little. I love you. So I stroke it. I pet it.
JunkFoodDinner.com is the world's oldest and sexiest website.
And massage it.
JunkFoodDinner.com is the world's oldest and sexiest website.
I get all excited. Yeah, I love it. love my little naughty fat. You're naughty.
The world's oldest and sexiest website is junkfood.com.
And then I take my naughty fat.
The world's oldest and sexiest website is junkfood.com.
Oh! I killed her!
Play the piccolino, the catchy piccolino, and dance to the strains of that new melody. Come to the casino, and hear them play the piccolino. Dance with your bambino, the strain of the catchy piccolino. Ring to that bambino, and when you can.
Welcome back to Junk Food Supper. Our movie tonight is going to be Top Hat from 1935. This is an RKO Radio Pictures release starring Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, who made 10 movies together, 9 of which they were the leads in. This is their third time leading a film together, and it was directed by Mark Sandrich, a veteran RKO musical director who made about half of the Fred and Ginger pictures. And the plot is a fairly familiar one. Fred Astaire plays a famous Broadway dancer/singer who has come to London to secretly join the cast of a show that the actor Edward Everett Horton's character is producing. Through a series of mix-ups, Ginger Rogers confuses Astaire the dancer for Horton the producer, which is a problem because Astaire has been flirting with her and also because Horton's wife is a good friend of Rogers. So effectively, Rogers thinks that her good friend's husband is trying to flirt with her, despite it actually being Fred Astaire, who is a single man. Also in the mix is a potential suitor for Rogers, a funny Italian stereotype guy. And side note about this guy, he's played by an actor named Eric Rhodes, and his Italian characterization was apparently so offensive to the Italian government and Mussolini in particular, that the movie was banned in Italy. So that just seems kind of petty that they would be so offended by this guy's accent, but I guess that's the facts according to IMDb.
I think that's reasonable because when he was talking, I couldn't tell what his accent was supposed to be. I couldn't tell if he was French, Italian, or Borat.
Yeah, well, and I think he's just American. I think he's from like Ohio or something, but had this accent that he deployed in a few films at least. I think he was known for this kind of a character and became kind of famous for it, which also is kind of funny. But that's basically the setup of the movie, and so it's kind of a process of waiting around to see if these two will in fact fall in love. And in the meanwhile, we're treated to a number of dance scenes, mostly tap dancing, set to the music of Irving Berlin. And those dance scenes are a big reason to watch this, or to watch any Fred Astaire movie. And, what I love about them is not just, how they capture a talented dancer, but how they pushed forward filmmaking at the time. Astaire came from pretty great success on the stage before he came to films. And so as a result, he was able to get complete creative control over his dance scenes in Hollywood. And he invested so much time designing the dances and practicing his dances that he really wanted them to be captured perfectly on film. So he would insist on shooting in very long takes as much as possible. He would insist on shooting with mostly white backgrounds in the studio so that you could make out his silhouette. And most crucially, he had his choreographer, this guy named Hermes Pan, move alongside the camera dolly operators as he danced. And so basically, he had designed these dances with this guy who knew all the movements perfectly. And then when they were shooting it, that guy was effectively dancing with the cameramen to get the shots, to perfectly line up with what Fred was doing. And so you end up with a much more dynamic looking dance scene and just a more dynamic looking movie overall with these Fred Astaire pictures than I think you would with most other musicals of the 1930s, because, most of the other dancers of the 30s didn't have that kind of control. They weren't able to effectively direct their own dance scenes like he was.
Well, yeah, to that, I mean, I haven't seen a ton of this kind of stuff, but like I've seen some of those Busby Berkeleys, and like they're wonderful and like they're big and fun and crazy, but like they're really shot like plays. Like aside from like sometimes they'll do like those aerial shots where like they, do it from, above, like in the rafters, they'll film it from like the rafters or whatever. But outside of that, like they pretty much get everything, from far away, get the whole stage and shoot it like a play. Whereas this is, like you said, a lot more dynamic and feels a lot more modern, and it moves around a lot more.
Yeah, totally. And it's great because this is such a kind of old fashioned dance style, tap dancing, but for those scenes to feel as modern as they do, I think helps, keep you interested as a viewer. I think that there is probably something inherently silly about tap dancing as well, that most people just probably think it's kind of a goof. But when you watch these guys, I mean, especially a guy like Fred Astaire, it looks so exuberant that for me at least, it's hard not to be charmed by it. And then, in these RKO musicals, typically the dances and the songs make sense in the context of the story. There's less of people just kind of breaking into dance out of nowhere. Like, these are stories about theatrical singer/dancers. And so it makes sense that they would be like rehearsing their dances, or even that they would dance with each other in a romantic setting, like at a park or something like this. And so it feels pretty natural, even though that this is a dance movie, it is a musical, you can kind of watch this and forget that it's both of those things. And then beyond the dancing, I think it's also just a blast to watch these two screen legends fall in love. I mean, Fred Astaire is such a warm, friendly presence on screen. And it seems like, counter to a lot of his contemporaries, it seems like off screen, he was a really nice guy as well, from everything that I've read. And then Ginger Rogers is just the perfect foil for him. She's so gorgeous and also just naturally funny. Prior to working with Astaire, she had a background in doing these kind of semi-risque pre-code comedy shorts, where she would, be flirtatious and funny. And I think that translates really well into her work here with, a guy who is kind of nerdy looking and maybe not the most charismatic on the surface and kind of like a shy, nice guy, but you put him together with, this kind of bombshell, and I think it works. And man, yeah, there is just something special about seeing these 1930s babes in black and white that I think really does enhance their beauty. Like, they look like these Greek statues in white marble or something. The way that they're lit and the way that the black and white captures them, it's just, I think Kevin Moss said it best when he said,
"Baba boom."
And, besides Ginger and Fred, we also have a familiar cast of actors. If you've seen any of these RKO comedies, they tended to recycle the same crew of actors. My favorite being this guy, Edward Everett Horton, who you might recognize from his voice as the narrator to the Fractured Fairy Tales on Bullwinkle. But he's just a classic character actor with a great sly grin that he deploys pretty effectively in this. There's another guy in this, Eric Blore, who plays the slightly deranged manservant to Horton. And I think that he's pretty funny as well. He's got a funny bit in this where he falls off a gondola that I enjoyed quite a bit. You also get a very brief appearance by a 25-year-old pre-fame Lucille Ball playing a florist in a blink and you might miss it appearance. And besides the cast, the dialogue in this, I think, is much sharper and more modern feeling than you might expect from a 1930s flick. And while it is set in the upper class, which I think all of these RKO musical comedies are set in this kind of upper class world, it still feels like it's written for a general audience, where I think this upper class setting is more like an aspirational or like fantasy escapist kind of a thing, like they don't ever discuss the class system, or race either, for that matter. And it's kind of a shame that most of these great tap dancing films do fail to include any black tap dancing artists, despite the fact that they pretty much invented the art form. But instead of any of that, any dissection of class or race, they tend to just be kind of glitzy fantasias, for a country that was kind of struggling to get out of the Depression. And speaking of glitz, though, we do have one of the all-time coolest film sets, the huge Venice, Italy set that they built on the RKO soundstage, with a huge canal and gondolas going by, and this cute little cafe by the water. Just a massive, cool-looking set that I love spending time in this movie. And it is funny to see it, shortly after we watched the movie Don't Look Now, also set in Venice, Italy, but a complete opposite version of Venice that is all cloaked in shadow and mysterious and foreboding. Whereas here in the 1930s, like, it could not be a more cheerful, almost like It's a Small World kind of environment.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I thought of It's a Small World too. And of course, Don't Look Now. But I'm correct in reading this movie in that is like supposed to be the real Venice, even though it's like a set that looks nothing like Venice. We're supposed to take it that they're in the real Venice, right? Or was that like a...
Yeah. No,
okay, I thought so.
Yeah, it's the real Venice, and audiences in 1935 had no fucking clue what Venice looked like. You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah. Well, no, I like it that it's this done up sort of magical style of Venice. Because it's so different from modern movies, I was like, there's like 10% of my brain that was like, no, this is like the theater set that they're just walking around. This isn't real Venice. So I just wanted to make sure. I thought it was the real Venice. So I just wanted to make sure. But yeah, I love that. Yeah, they do like this weird sort of. It almost looks like heaven from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey or something. Like it's like totally unreal, but it's wonderful to look at.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, and a great place to, set the climax of the movie. And overall, this is my second time seeing this movie. I saw it first about 2 years ago when I started getting into all these tap dancing movies, back when the pandemic was raging. And on my second watch, I still love this thing. I think it's a good entry point into the world of Fred and Ginger. I think if you like this, then the good news is there's 9 more of these movies that you can enjoy. But if you don't like this, I think you can probably pretty safely skip the rest of them. Not to say that the others are not as good as this. I think that there's 1 or 2 that I would probably rank alongside this, but this is maybe the most easily relatable and like I said, just kind of a good entry point. So, I mean, my original intent here was I'm looking for a 5-star Bowman pick. I think that this may be the longest of all long shots, but man, I'm still holding hope for my impossible dream over here, because I feel like if you do love this, like I said, I'll be thrilled for you, because you're going to have 9 more movies of fun to have with this fun duo. But anyhow, tell me, Bowman, what did you think about this movie from the dawn of sound pictures, Top Hat from 1935?
Well, as you can probably imagine from the way I've talked about it so far, I do enjoy it.
Nice.
I like
that's victory number 1.
Yeah, I like the way it looks, and I like the way that it feels pretty modern for the most part. I mean, well, it looks more modern than I would expect. There's a lot of stuff in this that is not modern, and that's kind of the stuff I don't like about it.
You mean like the social latitudes, or
social latitudes? Well, I mean, like there's a lot of stuff in here that like I didn't even have like context for. Like, for instance, like a lot of this hangs on like this Three's Company sort of mix up where like the Ginger Rogers, whose name is Dale in this, right? Dale?
Yeah, which, I mean, that is unfortunate and probably pretty confusing.
Very confusing. Like she's hanging out with her friend who's married to the guy who she thinks that Fred Astaire is, but like, why aren't the married couple ever together? Like, you would think that this could get resolved very easily, but like, is it the kind of thing where like it was taboo for like a married couple to be seen together in public in the 30s? Like, I mean, that's probably what it was. Like, maybe they couldn't be in the same hotel room because it's like.
I think the thing is he's just like a workaholic and
Okay.
maybe doesn't like his wife that much as well.
Okay. I thought maybe like in the olden days, if you traveled with your wife, like you would have to like be in separate hotel rooms or something because otherwise God would frown upon it. But
if you weren't married, for sure. I mean, I'm sure that would be a scandal. But no, I think the implication is just that he's been busy. He's trying to woo Fred Astaire into joining his production, and that's kind of where all his focus is.
Okay. Well, then that makes sense then. But yeah, but like there's a lot of other like jokes like that and stuff that like I like there's like the one guy's reading the telegram and then he's like, who would write a telegram like this? And then Ginger Rogers says, I don't know, it sounds like Gertrude Stein. It's like, how the fuck am I supposed to know what that joke means?
Well, I mean, there's always been topical references, right? I mean, they're pretty light on them here. I mean, those never age well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, but, and I mean, like there's other ones too that like, I'm kind of forgetting now, but it was like, I mean, like just like the whole premise of like traveling with like a chaperone. I think that happens in this at one point. Like, I don't know. There's like some weird old timey stuff in here for sure. And the old timey jokes. Like there's one where Fred Astaire tells his friend that they've got to go to Italy. They got to go by plane. And then his friend says, what kind of plane? And Fred Astaire says, one with wings. Ha! And then later there's a joke where they're like hanging out with like doing stuff with like a horse-drawn carriage. And someone's like, wow, what is it? You know, what kind of powers do you have that you have powers over these horses? And then Fred Astaire says, horsepower.
Oh.
And then they're talking about the horses again later. And then Ginger Rogers is like, yeah, you know, automobiles are played out. I think the horse is coming back. And then Fred Astaire says, well, where is he coming from? So there's a lot of real awful jokes in this. But there's some good jokes too.
Yeah, but these awful jokes, I mean, I don't feel like they don't waste your time too heavily. I mean, they pass through quickly, and I don't feel like they ruffle too many feathers on their way through. Like, yeah, they're just a lot of throwaway lines that are just silly nonsense. But these old movies are dense with dialogue, most of which is just kind of silly nonsense.
Well, that's true. I think if you're writing the joke, what kind of airplane, one with wings, I think you're wasting my time.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I think even at the time they knew that was not a good one. But there are some good jokes. Like there's a scene where I think it's Fred Astaire, somebody at the beginning has the big newspaper and they're hanging out in the lounge where you're not allowed to make any noise.
Yeah.
But he's got to fold the big newspaper, which is very hard to do without making noise because newspapers at that time were like 7 feet long.
Yeah. You would know this as a newsman.
Yeah. Our papers now are teeny tiny. I miss the days of the old big newspapers. It was fun. I used to, when I first got into newspapers, I was a paginator and I designed pages and it was fun to do on those big papers. It sucks to do now. There's no room. There's no canvas. But yeah, he's got to like fold it and he's like trying hard not to make any noise. And I thought that was very funny. So I like that part. There's a part where he proposes marriage to Ginger Rogers, and then she, thinking that he's a married man, slaps him. Or she's like, how could I fall in love with a guy like you? Slap. And then he's like, oh, she loves me. You know, like that's a funny joke. And it's also a joke that was like ripped off a zillion times on like Looney Tunes and stuff. I feel like I saw that joke a million different times from a million different people as a kid. So I assume it came from this first. And I like that. I like sometimes when we watch these 30s movies, it's fun to see like where all the Looney Tunes stole all their jokes.
Yeah. Or to help you identify who they were like doing caricatures of,
Yeah, that one too. Realizing that somebody was like an actual famous actor and not just like some weird creature that Tex Avery came up with.
It's like, oh, that was Clark Gable that Bugs Bunny fooled in the foot race. Now I get it.
The dancing is fun. There's this part in the first dance where Fred Astaire is going crazy and he wakes up Ginger Rogers, which I love, by the way. Like, I love that he's like tap dancing so hard that it wakes her up downstairs, because I think that's her introduction. Like, the camera zooms in hard on her bed and she wakes up. So like, yeah, just the fact that she's like sleeping down there unbeknownst to us. Like, I think it, as opposed to like something where like we see her earlier and she's like, well, I need as much sleep as I can get. I hope no one tap dances on my ceiling or whatever like this. Like, the fact that that's her introduction, and it also kind of plays with the form a little bit too, because they're up in the room and because you don't know anything about Ginger Rogers or that room, it's out of frame. So it doesn't exist. Like, that's kind of how we're told to understand film. Anything out of the frame doesn't exist. So the fact that he's tap dancing on her ceiling that does exist is like kind of a meta joke, I think. So I think that's fun. And like the whole sequence where like the camera zooms in hard to wake her up and all
Plus,
that.
She's wearing that lingerie.
Also the lingerie, yes. It gives you a boner. But yeah, like that dance sequence is fun. He does this thing occasionally where like he'll be doing his little tap dancing and then he'll tap like on the wall. Like, he'll hit his little feet on the wall, which I don't know that I've ever seen anybody do tap dancing. I mean, maybe I have. I don't know. But I don't know. I thought it was fun.
A lot of fun cane work as well in these dance routines. He's always implementing the cane to create different rhythms with his tap.
I do like a lot of the cane stuff. When he turns his cane into a gun and shoots dozens of people, I didn't quite understand. But
it's fun. It's just for fun.
It goes on for so long. It's like, it gets awkward. But I do like, that he uses the cane. And and it's like, you always see tap dancers with canes, like in, like the WB Frog. He's got a cane. And it's like just kind of a thing that you see over and over like that. They're like, if you're doing shorthand for a guy putting on an old timey show, he'll have a cane. And I guess I never realized why until now. It's because, you have like a third instrument. If you're doing tap dancing, you can use the cane. So that was cool. That was cool to learn that. And then it kind of slows down a little bit. And Fred Astaire's kind of a stalker for a while, which is like a little bit weird. Maybe he should have he's like following this lady and like stealing her horse-drawn carriage and all this, which is kind of funny and kind of weird. But then they go to Italy and they do the Cheek to Cheek song, which is a banger.
Yeah.
And then what's the name of that final song? The one that starts with a P?
Oh, yeah. Like
To Puccini or something like that.
It's like Piccolini or something, right?
Piccolini. Yeah, that's a banger. 100% banger. That performance in that song. So I, hearing so much about Fred Astaire, like I used to watch So You Think You Can Dance a lot, and Nigel Lithgow was the host of that show, and he's like a tap dance choreographer. Like, he was pretty well known. I think he actually did the choreography for The Apple, the movie we did on the very first Junk Food Dinner.
Oh, wow.
But he's always talking up Fred Astaire, as I'm sure all tap dancers do. So it's cool to finally see some of his stuff. I think that, for a guy who's like not athletic and has no cardio, I think he's really good at tap dancing. But I think,
to be fair, they had not yet invented exercise,
True. So, it's cool to see him do his stuff, but like, I do think that people have kind of added on to these repertoires, as, I mean, that happens with all art from, in all things, but yeah, I think that he's very fun. And hearing you say that, he was in charge of picking out the white backgrounds so that you could see his silhouette, that makes perfect sense, because those silhouettes are great to see a lot of the time, especially when he's wearing his tails, like he's singing about at one point, his tails and his top hat. So not only does it look good and make everything in the movie have this sort of ethereal sort of quality to it, it's also functional, which is cool. So I like this, but I found parts of it to be pretty slow. For a 1930s movie, being 100 minutes is like a lot of minutes. So I wasn't in love with it, but I do like it. So I'll give it a thumbs up. I'm not going to give it 5 stars, but I'll give it certainly more than 2.5 stars, which is the average number of stars a movie gets. I will give
certainly
it 3.
More than 2.5. That's all you're going to guarantee me on this?
Well, I haven't decided. It's going to be either 3 or 3.5. Somewhere in there.
Now who's tap dancing? You're tap dancing on the grave of Fred Astaire.
Well, I mean, he should have come up with some better jokes. You know? He
was too busy, picking out white backgrounds.
Well, I do like his white backgrounds. I don't know. Maybe it might be more. I don't know. I'll watch that Piccolini again. If I like that Piccolini more this time, I'll bump it up. But it's a very long movie.
Do you foresee any kind of a future in which you would watch another Fred and Ginger picture without my involvement?
Without police involvement, I would.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like, what was the time frame on them doing stuff? Like, were they making movies in like the 60s when they had color and stuff like that, or are they all like this?
Well, 9 out of the 10 are black and white RKO movies made in the 30s, and then they reunited for a 10th one in like the mid to late 40s for MGM that is in color, and it's pretty good. It's not the best of them, but if you're really hung up on color, you could watch that. But I don't know. Like I said before, I think she's all the more beautiful in black and white.
Yeah, I actually don't have a problem with the black and white. I think it actually looks really good for this movie with the sets and stuff, but maybe more dynamic moves. Maybe a movie with like no rear projection might suit them better. Like maybe like scenes where they're like in the real world could also maybe be fun.
Yeah, that's tricky. In the 30s, there's not a whole lot of real world action going on. It is very studio bound.
That's true. That is true. So, but I'd be willing to watch more of these guys. I'd be willing to watch more.
Yeah.
Especially, do they all have like these kind of wacky Three's Company sort of vibes to them?
More or less. I mean, they're all kind of screwball comedies. None of them are... Well, that's not true. I think that the very last one they made for RKO is a bit more of a drama. But for the most part, they're just kind of silly comedies like this where, there's comedic mix-ups and fun dance.
I do like comedic mix-ups. So, I think I could watch more of these.
Yeah. Give them a spin. They tend to show up on HBO Max now and again. Or just Max now, I guess. But I love them. And, I do think it is impressive. And maybe this is just me having kind of a low bar. But the fact that these movies are almost 100 years old, that sound pictures had been around for less than a decade, for them to make movies that are even like, baseline watchable back then is impressive to me. But for, a movie like this that I feel like you watch it, and yeah, I guess there's a reference or two here or there that feels dated, but the story is still completely relatable. The characters are still fully relatable, and, it still connects. I think that's impressive, but, maybe I'm just a grandpa.
You might be. Like, the story of this is that Ginger Rogers can't marry the guy she just met, so she marries her boss the day afterwards. Like, that's, I feel like that's kind of a hard thing to relate to in 2023.
Maybe that's fair.
But it's wacky, and that's what's important.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going for realism. So, it works out. And, Fred Astaire, he's got a nice face,
Yeah. Kind of a Jiminy Cricket vibe.
Yeah. Like, I always thought, like, because he was such a big star, like, I was, like, I never knew what he looked like or anything. I never saw any of his stuff. So I was, like, expecting, like, some Henry Cavill looking fucking dude, Like, I thought this was going to be the most attractive man in the world since he's, like, one of the biggest stars of all time. So the fact that he's, like, looks like an accountant, like, I thought was, like, really charming. I like that about him.
He's a plain boy from Nebraska. you know?
Yeah.
He's not one of these big city dancers.
I like that.
Well, speaking of liking things, the most liked segment of the show is about to begin.
The most important part of the show. So I understand that you like dancing. So I think that you would like dancing. Maybe if you got to see some people who like can dance and like also have done like some cardio. Maybe you might like that. I was thinking. Maybe you might like.
Is this a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie?
It might be. It might be some more modern forms of dance. I think maybe you could like. I think maybe if you stepped up your dance game, you could maybe enjoy it. Maybe if you stepped up to the streets, you could enjoy that. Sean Byron. I think we should watch the movie Step Up to the Streets from 2008. The sequel to the hit Step Up that is superior to Step Up and kicked off an entire fucking Step Up franchise that continues to this very day.
Wowza. Okay.
It's a masterpiece.
I'm willing to watch this movie, but I do want to make it clear. Are we still pretending like you're looking for a movie that I'm going to rate 5 stars? Or
I wasn't thinking that. I don't think you'll rate this 5 stars. I think if you like dance, if you like dancing the way you say you will, there's no way you will not like this movie. It is a phenomenal piece of dance cinema. And I do think that you'll like it. I don't think you'll give it 5 stars. I would be very surprised if you did, but I will be absolutely shocked if you dislike this movie.
Okay. All right. I expect I will dislike it, but again, I'm willing to watch it.
Do you like?
It was made for teenagers in the 2000s, right? I mean, that's not my demo.
But you like dancing, right? Do you like other forms of dancing that aren't tap dancing?
I mean, I don't dislike it, I guess.
Is tap dancing the only dance you like? Is that
I think the thing I like about dance movies is the way that they utilize the medium of filmmaking, and like there tends to be a lot of interesting filmmaking going on in these dance movies because there was a spectacle to capture, and it was different than just people sitting around in a room having a conversation, you know. So whether it's like the Busby Berkeley stuff or this, like they're doing interesting things with the filmmaking.
I think that applies to this movie.
Okay.
I think that the way that they capture a lot of the dancing is I think you're gonna like this.
Okay, I'm open to it. I mean, I'm not afraid of a dance movie. And the only thing that I know about this movie is like the South Park episode.
Oh yeah. Oh well, that's You Got Served. A different.
Oh, is that different?
That's a different one.
Was that later or?
That might have came first. It was around like dance fighting was very popular at the movies for like 3 years.
I've never seen any of those 2000s dance fighting movies, so.
I've seen all the Step Ups except for the first one, but they get good at part 2 from what I understand. So I think you'll like it. There's fun to be had.
Oh man, You Got Served has Lil' Kim and Steve Harvey in it though.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, I don't think.
I want to see Steve Harvey breakdancing.
I don't think he breakdances. I think he just gets upset when people make sexual innuendos.
It makes sense. I mean, he wouldn't want to get those suits dirty.
Yeah. But yeah, I think this is on it's on something. It's streaming somewhere on like HBO or something. So it should be easy to find.
Well, it's only fitting that, after I subjected you to a Dawn of Sound Films tap dancing feature that I would get served a much more modern teen-centric dance movie.
I really genuinely think that you will like this. If just pay attention to there's like some melodrama and stuff, like you can maybe check your phone during those scenes, but if you pay attention to the dance, I will be surprised if you do not like this.
Okay.
You like Jabberwockies?
I like their name. I like making jokes about them at Universal Halloween Horror Nights.
Oh, do you not like their dancing?
I don't think I've ever seen it.
All right. Well, you're in for a treat because they're in the movie.
Oh, really? Okay. finally I'll get to see them without having to wait in line when I'm trying to go on Freddy Krueger mazes.
I'm pretty sure they're in one of them. I think it's this one. Let me double check. But yeah, they're in Step Up 2, The Streets. So, a classic film that you're gonna like. I'm not doing this as like a joke. I genuinely think you'll like it, and I genuinely like this movie too. So
that I believe.
Well, it's because I'm a teenager. Me and these young kids, we know entertainment, but
well, at least Kevin's not here to witness how 2 weeks in a row we've gone from being a secret wrestling podcast to just openly being a dance podcast.
Well, we're doing some Broadway the week afterwards. I hope so. We're just going to do all the forms of theater and entertainment that aren't cult movies from now on.
Wrestling. We could review some radio dramas.
Yeah, radio dramas, Broadway, dancing.
I actually wouldn't mind listening to some episodes of The Shadow or something.
Yeah.
Hello, junkies. This is Parker, coming to you from the future where audio quality is not good. I just wanted to jump in here from the future and say that although in the past, which is your present, I picked Step Up to the Streets, that movie's no longer streaming, so I'm not going to pick it. But on the bright side, Step Up All In, which is like Step Up number 5 or something, is streaming. It's on HBO Max, so watch it along with us. That's the one we're going to be doing. Step Up All In. Probably a better movie anyway, so this is actually fortuitous. At least the dancing's probably better. There's so much dancing in it. You guys are going to go crazy. You guys are going to be dancing while listening to the podcast. At least that's my prediction. So, Step Up All In. Now we'll go back to the present day. Bye.
I thought this was a lot of fun.
But it is a little ghoulish.